The momentum builds towards Super Tuesday as New Jersey Governor Chris Christie endorses Donald Trump. Is Trump unstoppable? I sat down with Donald Trump Jr. just hours after the last GOP debate and before the Christie endorsement to ask just that. Here's what he had to say about his dad. Donald, thanks for being with us. You've had a rough night.
I had a little bit of a rough night, but it's good. You know, 1 hour of sleep's always fun to go do TV.
Well, you know, the good news is that your father has all these surrogates out there. I mean, you kids are so smart, so supportive, in it for him totally. I mean, it's a family affair.
Well, it is. And, you know, we just believe in the message. We've seen what he's done for businesses for 40 years, and people like to take a track record and turn it into a negative. But he's done this time and time again. He has real experience. He's actually hired people. So I love when people talk about creating jobs. Right? Meanwhile, they've hired exactly 0 people throughout their lives. They're academics. They're talking about it in theory, not in practice.
Well, let's talk about the debate. Okay, the debate was different, and it certainly was entertaining.
Yep.
But it was different in the sense that Cruz and Rubio weren't going after each other. They were both piling on Donald Trump. How do you think your dad handled it?
I think he did great. He's always going to do great. I mean, that's what he does, because he's actually had to do it in the real world. Now, when you're drowning in a pool, that's the most dangerous guy there. So both of those guys are drowning. They see the numbers. They see what's happened so far. He wasn't supposed to ever do anything, right? My father was never supposed to be anywhere near this. He was supposed to be out by now. Yeah. All of a sudden, they're losing. So, you know, you got to start throwing spears. He gets it.
Well, the amazing part is you've got the 2 Latinos, and your father's beating them in the Latino vote. Why do you think that is?
Because people are sick of the same old, same old. They're sick of the promises. They're sick of the nonsense. You know, my father, when he's talking to people who are actually voters, he's nothing against Latinos. He loves Latinos. He hires a lot of them. Maybe we have thousands of them working with us. What he is, though, he wants to make it fair for them. I mean, those people are affected more by illegal immigration probably than anyone else. I mean, I'm not affected by it very much. Those guys are, and he's catering to that. He's telling them what they need and what's going to be a big difference. You know, same thing with blue-collar workers. Finally, you have someone that's talking with them, talking to them, not talking at them.
You know, the unions have historically gone with the Democrats. I believe that there's going to be a different, a different paradigm here.
I think 100%. Who do you think those guys are for? They're going to be for Trump. They're not voting for Hillary. The Democrats, you know, they promise them all these things. They've never done anything for them. My father's all about the hardworking American. He's talking to them. He's finally giving them a voice. He's not saying, well, let's run some sort of database search and see what they want to hear. We'll tell them that, and then we'll go do whatever our special interests tell us to do.
What do you say to
My father's doing it differently.
What do you say to those people, like in the debate where Rubio says, well, you were hiring illegals yourself, and you got fined $1 million. Now, your father shook his head and said, no, it wasn't. I mean, I don't know what it was.
Well, if 35 years ago something happened, but that's the thing. You actually criticize someone who has a track record, right? Over 1,000 deals, so, you know, a couple things go wrong along the way. That's normal practice. I mean, there's not a single guy who's ever been successful that's never had issues along the way or never had something. You know, these guys have no track record, so you can't talk about, you know, Rubio can't pay off his credit card bills, and he's going to be in charge of the country. It's ridiculous, and people get it.
Well, let's talk about, okay, so the Latinos, and he's beating Rubio in Florida big time, but not beating Cruz in Texas, although I understand that, you know,
listen, I think it'll be really close. You know, Texas is always a different state. I mean, Texas loves anything that's Texas, despite, you know, whatever shortcomings there may be. But, you know, I think he'll do great. And when you look at the rest of Super Tuesday, I mean, I don't think it's even close. You know, remember, he won in South Carolina where he wasn't supposed to. And he's winning with evangelicals. He's winning with Hispanics, as he likes to joke. He's winning with tall people. He's winning with short people. He's winning with skinny people. He's winning with fat people.
Let's talk about women. Will he win with women?
He will. Listen, when you talk about a real track record with women, they like to say, oh, he's a misogynist, he's this. It's nonsense. They take an interview from Howard Stern, so that's news. As, you know, that's his real viewpoint, as opposed to he's having fun with a friend. And they try to paint him in a negative light with that. In 1982, 35 years ago, long before there was ever any type of talk about women doing this and women doing that like we have today, he had a woman in charge of building Trump Tower. He put a woman in charge in New York City in charge of construction in the early 80s. It's unheard of. And you know what he's about? He's about merit. If you're the right person for the job, you'll do it.
Tell me why there is so much establishment resistance. You know, the Washington Post saying, we've got to stop Trump. You know, we've got to make sure. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, I saw it yesterday. The Washington Post, Mexico, and China all want to stop Trump. Guess what? The 2 countries that are ripping us off the most, they really want to stop Trump because the game's over if he gets in there. Same thing with the establishment, right? The establishment doesn't want Trump because he's going to take their crony capitalism and he's going to eliminate it. You talk about the waste, fraud, and abuse. They say, oh, talk about... You could shrink government so much, you could save trillions.
The waste. Well,
that we could then put back into, how about things that matter? Education, taking care of our vets, fixing up the military.
Efficiency.
That's what he's done with every company.
Last
you couldn't run a company without that.
Israel, Palestine, some people were disappointed. Your father wants to negotiate. What do you say?
Listen, He's been so pro-Israel. He's had more awards from Israelis, and we've done more business with. My sister's an Orthodox Jew. It's ridiculous. You can't start a negotiation, though, when you have two sides that have been fighting for decades. Right? They hate each other. You can't start a negotiation by throwing sand in someone's face and saying, okay, now we're going to talk to the table and be on equal terms. It doesn't work that way. So these guys want to take a side. The only way you'll ever get anything done, and by the way, it's an incredibly difficult task, as he acknowledged. He's the only one that can get it done because he understands how to actually negotiate. He's done it once or twice. These guys have never done it.
Donald Trump Jr., thanks for being with us
It's a pleasure.
tonight.
Thank you so much.